okay? That your tie is straight, your tie clip is straight. You gotta put some effort into that uniform. Now, if you're not affiliated with a fire department, wear a business suit. Okay, you should always dress a step above the oral board. That's what I always tell people. So you need to dress for success. Again, take a lint roller with you. These are little tricks that you can do. Keep a lint roller in your car if you're interviewing. Give yourself a once over before you come in. Make sure your hair is professional. Make sure it is clean. Gentlemen, make sure that you're clean shaven. If you like to wear cologne or perfume, that's cool. Just don't overdo it, okay? What you don't want to do is having 3 chiefs across the table that can't concentrate because all they can do is smell your cologne, okay? So if you're going to do that, go easy on it. I'll share a pet peeve of Chief O'Brien's. His huge pet peeve is dry mouth. So if you know that when you speak a lot, or maybe you've interviewed before, you know when someone gets that, it looks like cotton candy? Yeah. That's because your mouth is really dry, okay? Huge pet peeve of his. I will see him, he shuts down during, or he can't even listen anymore. And so, have a water bottle, okay? Bring a water bottle with you. Before you go into the room that you're interviewing, take a swig of the water, but don't bring the water bottle in. Okay, this goes back to that question, what should I bring in the interview? Okay, this again is coming, yes. That is exactly what happens in an interview, right? It goes back to your nerves are going, right? And, yeah, I'll take mine, right? So you're sitting there, okay? You're already nervous as all get out. And just as Kat said, you automatically start squeezing, right? I saw one person in an interview because they were so nervous they knocked their bottle over. That's not, right? And then you can't get it back. You just can't. Okay, so bring water with you, hydrate before, do not bring it in. Okay? People will ask, well, should I bring my resume? Should I bring a binder? Should I write notes? I'm gonna tell you no. Now, Kat, me tell you something different. I feel when you bring something in and I'm interviewing you and you're writing stuff down, I think that's a huge distraction. And it's slowing up the interview. Okay? There's no reason you should be writing anything down. I'm interviewing you, right? Go ahead.
Okay, I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
So first, what if I have oh, I stopped working at Walmart here and I started working at this place now, can you bring a piece of paper that has all that information?
If you want to provide a supplement that you can put on the application, yes.
Okay.
So the best thing to do is actually have a very updated resume and say, here's an updated resume for you. I would do that.
Okay.
Okay.
And the second one is, so if we're not affiliated with the station and we need to wear something nice, what would you recommend girls wear? Because not every girl wants to wear a suit.
I would wear a business suit.
Okay.
Yep, that is my recommendation. One that is flattering, right? But a nice business suit. Doesn't matter, male, female, doesn't matter, wear a business suit. Okay, question, tattoos. Tattoos and piercings.
And if we don't have a business suit or apply for paid on call, doctors, nice shoes, button-down shirt.
Sure. Yeah.
Where you got a tie. Do you want to go that night?
Yeah, for a paid on call position, business casual, I would feel comfortable with.
I'm sure not everybody has.
Yeah, but Blake knows my son. So my son loves South Beach Memory. He goes there every single week. And he, as much as it drives me nuts, he will actually he brought back a really nice suit. Right? I mean, one that actually fits him well. And so, not to say, right, because everyone's different. People are in different financial situations, right? But there are ways to find something that's appropriate to wear. Okay, I just don't want to see someone, because some chiefs are going to have that expectation that you should be in a suit, right? Especially for a full-time position. But there's ways that you can get that suit. Okay, and if anybody ever has questions with that, call me, because I know different resources too.
So with suit and tie, would you recommend?
For full-time.
I would say, in all honesty, if you have a suit and tie, even for a paid on call, wear a suit and tie. You know why? Because I hear the reaction from the officers like, oh, he's wearing a tie. He's so impressed, right? Because to be honest, and I don't know if it's just a cultural shift, whatever it is, but I would say over the past like five years, people coming in, even for the paid on call, they're dressing really casual, really casual. And again, it's all the officers that are interviewing you that are most important, their perception. And I would tell you, if you have a suit or a shirt and a tie on, love it. Yes. Okay. Common question, tattoos and piercings. Okay. This goes back to researching the organization that you're applying with. Okay. Some departments, we're going like this when it comes to tattoos, right? You're gonna see some departments that used to be pretty cool, I guess. They had more of an open tattoo policy. They are now reverting back to no tattoos. And I can give you an example of why. One department, one of their medics thought it would be a good idea to get the Grim Reaper, okay, tattooed as part of the sleeve. Okay, well when you are deciding that you want to help people, right, in their time of need, they don't want to look at the Grim Reaper, right? And as much as we can laugh and say, God, that seems like that's so common sense. Yeah. So that's why sometimes you'll see a shift in the other direction. Now, some departments will allow you to have them, but you have to keep them covered. Okay, no matter what. So even if it's just a flower sleeve, it's really pretty, they may require you, whenever you're in department uniform, you gotta keep it covered. Okay, so that's just something to think about, because if you know you want to do this for a full-time job, and when you wear a department t-shirt and you decide to have a sleeve, to always have that covered, I'm just telling you, it could be uncomfortable. It's just something to think about. Now, other departments, Brighton, okay, we used to be we were like, no, right? But because I forgot what the statistic is now, I think it's 1 in 4 Americans have tattoos. So, and the military started to shift, so we started to shift. So with us, you can't have anything on your face, can't have a face tattoo, no tears. Nope, can't have that. Can't have anything coming up on the neck. Okay, I had an applicant that had flames, right? The whole neck thing. It was cool, it was interesting, but yeah. Couldn't do that. You can have one tattoo on like your hand, like a wedding tattoo. I don't mind if you have sleeves. Cool, that's what you want to do. But they have to be appropriate. So you can't have a Grim Reaper, okay? So that's just something to keep in mind. Piercings, gauges, a lot of departments, there's no gauges, there's no eyebrow, there's no nose. I mean, typically you can have them, but in the scope of your job, you can take them out. So, right, when you're pulling a hood over your head, don't think you want stuff getting caught, and it's typically about safety. Okay, so if you're going for an interview and you have lots of extra metal, take it out. Okay, couple things, and then I want to start practicing a little bit. When you go in to an interview, what's early? 15 minutes.
15.
Very good. Always get there early. So then, this is what you can expect for people who've never never interviewed before. Typically, the board will be in a conference room, and you're gonna be escorted in, okay? And you're gonna have 3 officers that may stand up, they may not. Okay, but you should immediately, and I know with COVID, things were a little bit different, but you should always offer handshake, okay? So, how do you, let me see your handshake. That's pretty good, right? So, I'm gonna give you some advice on a handshake. Okay, if you are pulling your sweater, right, you're nervous and your hands start sweating, okay, before you go into that conference room, wipe your hands, okay? Wipe your hands, okay? They might be a little bit clammy. Warm them up a little bit, okay? Get ready for that handshake. And then when you shake, make sure it's not wimpy, okay? I've had some very wimpy handshakes, okay? You want it to be firm, not overly aggressive. You want to look, let me see. You want to look at that person right in the eye and smile. Okay, that is the very first impression that you're giving of that board. Make sure you smile. Even though you might feel like you're going to throw up, right? Because you're so nervous. Make sure you force yourself to smile. Introduce yourself. Okay, usually the officers will introduce themselves to you as well. Don't feel pressure that you have to remember their names. There's no, some people actually can, they actually remember their rank, their name, but I don't have that expectation because usually you don't know those individuals and you're already nervous anyway.
So everybody becomes sir and ma'am.
Yes. Yep. Okay, so then, all right, so this is something more, I guess, public service. When I was in private sector, this usually wasn't an issue. But when you have a board of officers, and you shook each of their hand, then you're getting ready to sit down. As a sign of respect, you do not sit until you're told to sit. Okay, some officers are a bit more lax with that, but I've had officers that see that as a sign of disrespect if you sit immediately. Okay, so then they'll say, go ahead, Jackson, go ahead and take a seat. Okay, and then you take a seat. Okay. All right, so then, right, you've got the 3 officers in front of you, right, and you might have a mean HR person that gave you a chair with wheels on it. If you are sitting in a chair with wheels, you need to lock yourself in somehow, because I have seen where people will start rocking back and forth, right? They don't know they're doing it, but because it's got wheels, you're kind of doing this thing, right? Because you've got that nervous energy. So my suggestion, no matter what, if you have wheels, no wheels, when you sit down, okay, you should be putting your elbows on the table and lock yourself in. You sit up straight and you get ready for that first question, okay? If you have those elbows on the table, okay, like Abigail's sitting, that will help you from rocking, okay? So just a suggestion, okay. All right, we already talked about that. Couple things on online interviews, and then we're gonna go ahead and practice. Online, if you're using a camera, have any of you done an online interview? Okay, so what should you be careful of?
Background noises.
Background noises, what else?
The background.
Yep, lighting. If you have backlighting, can I see you? Probably not. What else? Okay, what else? Dogs, cats. I have a dog that wants to be on my lap the whole time, right? Siblings. Okay, if you have younger siblings or even older siblings, right? Just make sure that everybody in the household knows that you're going to be doing an interview. Okay, should you wear dress attire?
Yes.
Should you wear shoes? Should you wear pants? I'm going to tell you there have been psychological studies done that in online interviews, you dress just as you would in an in-person. You'll perform better. There's one done specifically on wearing shoes that I thought was fascinating. So, okay. All right, so this is the best part, right? Is to practice. Okay, so what I have, okay, these are kind of like retired questions. These are some of the questions that we've used at Brighton. And so I always ask for volunteers. I'm not mean. So if you know that you have an interview coming up, okay, or if you know that you will have an interview, okay, first of all, we're not going to bite. This is good practice, okay? Who would like to do it? And I'm going to have them pick. Okay, I'm going to start with Ethan. Take your questions. Do you have an extra chair, Tom, by chance? Okay, we'll put that up front. All right, come on up here with me, Ethan. All right, we're gonna put Ethan in the hot seat. Yep, go ahead and take a seat. Okay, obviously, in the situation, you would have a table in front of you, right? Right, sitting up straight. Okay, so this question is a typical one, okay? So Ethan, what personality traits do you feel make a great firefighter? Which of these do you feel is the most important and why?
I'd say the most important personality traits in a firefighter would be confidence, perseverance, just a hard worker, hard work ethic.
It's a hard one, isn't it?
I think
Okay. And this, okay, so that, right, again, this goes back to, these questions can be challenging, right? And you can prepare for some questions, other questions you can't. Now, with this one, this is an example of why you become very familiar with the job description, right? The job description is usually going to give you a list of soft skills that you can also tie into that kind of question, right? What do you guys think? So what Ethan pointed out, those are very good. Those are very good. What other traits do you think we may want to hear as an oral board? Go ahead.
Good under pressure or in stressful situations.
Okay, so being able to work under stress is usually a number one aspect of a job description, right? Not everybody can do it. Doesn't make you a bad person, but a lot of people can't handle it. So that is a good one. Go ahead.
You need to be like good at talking to people.
Communication skills, right? Trevor? Reliable. Good with teams. Team player, right? Go ahead.
Good at focusing.
Focus.
Compassionate.
Go ahead.
Honest.
Honest. Why is honesty important? Why is honesty important?
because you're in a job where if you're not honest about your past experience, it could lead to them making if you hire someone who lies about their past experiences
Yeah.
and past training, then they could put other people's lives at risk.
Absolutely. So that's one aspect of it. But when you're on a medical run, are you going into people's homes?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Right. So that is too another factor why we have to make sure that the people we are bringing in, we can trust. Right? Okay, the second part of the question, which of these do you feel is the most important and why? So Ethan, as everybody shared, is there one that you feel is the most important?
Being able to work in a team.
Okay, why is that, do you feel, the most important?
These people are responsible for saving not only other people's lives, but protecting the lives of the firefighters who are going into these situations, and you need to be able to trust the people next to you that they're not going to leave you behind or they're not going to mess up.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And this is a team job. It's not an individual job, right? You function as a team. Okay? You wouldn't be successful as a firefighter without the team. Okay, good job. Good job. All right. All right, who else? All right.
Give us an example of the most stressful situation you're
Oh,
faced with. And what
okay.
steps do you take to resolve
All right,
it?
you gotta go in the hot seat. All right. Okay, so give us an example of the most stressful situation you were faced with. What steps did you take to resolve it, and were you successful? This is a common question. Okay, why do you think we ask this question? Go ahead.
Our job's full of stressful situations.
Yep. And you have to be able, it goes back to what you said. You have to be able to handle stress. So we want to hear what has been the most stressful. Most stressful. When you're answering these questions that they ask most, what does that mean? Does it mean ramble on for like 10 minutes on like 10 things? It means the most stressful. Okay? Okay, go ahead.
When my family got in a car crash, it was a stressful situation because we were all like trying to figure out like what do we need to do, and my sister was stuck in the car, so we had to try to get her out, and like fire department wasn't there yet, and we were like all rushing and worried.
Were you part of the accident?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So how did you handle it? How did you handle the stress of that?
Well, I got out of the car and went over to the side so my parents didn't have to worry about me, and sat with some bystanders. And I let my mom and my dad do what they needed to do, and then we called 911 for the fire department to come.
Okay. Good. Now, this would be my suggestion. Okay, when you're thinking through, when you're preparing for interviews, you're always going to have these questions. Most stressful, greatest accomplishment, what you're most proud of as far as this point in your career. What are you most proud of? These most, or these extremes, those are things you can prepare ahead of time. Worst experience, right? Maybe in employment, things of that nature. So my recommendation, right, that's a stressful situation, being in a car accident. Now, I would make it more focused on you. What is the most stressful situation you personally have been in? Is there something else? Okay. So when you think of a situation, right, you just need to be able to think through how you articulate it and the steps that you took to resolve it, and were you successful or not. Go ahead.
Whenever you get asked a question, do you have to answer it right away, or can you stop and think about it first?
That's a great question. So yes, you can pause. There's nothing wrong with pausing before you speak, right? It goes back, again, you don't want to get diarrhea of the mouth and you just start speaking, right? Think about it, not too long. You don't want to go into the uncomfortable silence, okay? But think about it. It's also, in most processes, you can ask to have the question repeated. Don't be afraid to do that, because if you're missing half of the question, you're going to be docked on the scoring. So make sure you know the question.
Is trigger words a big thing when interviewing? Like, I know for DECA this is like, don't use words like or as much.
Yeah, and that's typically a stress response you fill in with, and a lot of times people don't even realize that they're saying it. So part of role playing, like doing stuff like this with friends or family, you start to practice to alleviate those ums. Also, you can practice in the mirror. That first question, right? How have you prepared for the interview? Talk in front of a mirror. See how you're presenting. Record it when you're driving on your cell phone. Record yourself. Okay? Nice job, Vince. Okay? So any other questions? Go ahead, Shay.
I feel like that was a tricky one, because it makes you feel like it would get really personal.
Which one? The first?
Yeah, the one about the most stressful
Yeah,
situation.
okay, so that is something to think about. You don't have, right, I don't necessarily am looking for a very personal response, but it can be based on your situation.
So like, could it be something health related, or would you steer away from it?
If it's something that puts you where someone might think that you have a disability or that you have an issue, you can't do this job physically, avoid it. Yeah. And I've heard, some people have gone through you know, a stressful situation with family, you know, and it just depends on how you articulate it, you know, and how you handle that stress.
We gotta get our how kids out.
Okay.
We gotta be heading out right now, so